Hi guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the Three Hammers podcast. What's this? This is episode 74? 74?
Yeah, not bad.
Here, as always, with Luke and joined by a very special guest this week. It's Gonzo from Hammers Chat. How we doing, mate? You alright?
Delighted to be here, mate. 74 was the year I was born as well, which is obviously why we planned it like this.
74, get out.
yeah. Don't try all that schmoozing and all the rest of it, mate. Actually, flattery will go a long way, Paul. You know what I mean?
I've got to say, mate, it's actually nice to see you sober, mate. I know I've met you when you've been drunk, and I think Paul met you when you was drunk as well, mate. It's nice to see you sober.
Listen, you don't know what's in this cup, look. I tell you don't know what's in that cup.
Thanks for joining us, mate. As we always do with any guest that comes on, mate, we give you a little sort of 2-3 minutes to explain who you are, what channel you're from, and how West Ham fans know you. Over to you, mate.
Well, I'm not going to need 3 minutes. Pressure's on. Right. Well, I'm Gonzo, as you may or may not know. We do Hammers Chat, which originally started off as a forum. Run it with Gio. Somewhat known as Red Hammer on the forum. Everyone knows him as Gio, really. He's been on. You've had him on before, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's all right. He didn't need a translator or anything, did you?
It wasn't too bad. He was all right, yeah.
Aye. We do videos. We got an app. We do loads and loads of stuff. But as has been mentioned, I generally get drunk and go to games and point a camera at myself and speak a load of nonsense and watch West Ham lose. Really, that's about it.
Yeah, obviously your boats as well, mate. Fantastic thing. I've been down there a couple of times. Really is good, like vibe. It's trying to keep the old West Ham sort of vibe going near the ground because there's not much. Let's be fair.
Well, we did funny enough, we did a little thing on the forum when we knew we were moving to Stratford. We did a pub crawl, and the idea was that we had earmarked 5 or 6 pubs that we would go to, and we'd go to each one. So group was the forum. We all started, a lot of us, on a forum in its previous incarnation. We'd all been chatting West Ham on the internet since 2003. So a lot of us have known each other for years and years and years. And we'd all got together and decided that we were going to do this pub crawl and find out what was going to be our local in Stratford. Funny enough, we went to the Railway, just got smashed in the Railway Tavern all day. All day. Yeah, well, it's a nice pub. We tried to leave to go to Stratford, but actually we had a friend that fell over and then tried to walk backwards up the escalators at the up in Westfield. So the pub crawl didn't happen any longer. But we decided we were going to go on the Railway Tavern, and then it was really Gio that he was searching for a boat party somewhere and wanted to hire those boats just to have a booze cruise, really. And then the opportunity came up that actually we might be able to run them on a match-by-match basis. So the boats became our local. And actually, when things were pretty rough last season, it was the only thing that was old West Ham in many respects, because there was all of us from the old days all on the boats. The worst bits a lot of the time was the 90 minutes, as I'm sure you you can understand. But we would have a sing-song on the boats, go and watch the game, come back. The boats, which is there you go. Thank you, fellas. It's moored there. We like it. We like it.
Great idea. By the way, I love the taking from the club there, the moored. Very nice.
I'll tell you whose idea that was. Sir.
All right.
The FIFA Spencer.
Just name dropping there.
I don't think his name is FIFA Spencer.
Spencer FC. Yeah, I'm sure most of us know him.
Massive YouTuber.
Yeah, he's a really nice fella as well. And we were chatting with him in the club shop, funnily enough, and he came up with the idea. So all credit goes to him. Do you guys play FIFA, do you?
Big time.
Yeah, mate. We'd love to have him on the show. Actually, he's one of the blokes I'd love to get on the show one time, but he's very hard to get in touch with.
Yeah. No doubt. Are you good at FIFA?
I'll beat anyone, mate.
Moving on. A few questions that I always ask any guest on the show just before we go into all the topics and stuff, mate. Why West Ham?
I am from Ilford, which you'll both know. There was no choice from Ilford. Funny enough, though, we had a couple of Tottenham in the school. And one of our teachers was Tottenham as well. So for our school, we did 2 school trips from Ilford. One of them was St Paul's Cathedral, fair enough. The other one, he took us to White Hart Lane on our school trip.
All right.
Which was just evil. What a nasty, evil thing to do. so it was just West Ham. It was a West Ham area, and my old man, of course, as well, who insisted upon it.
That's interesting as well. Just thinking back, actually, like we obviously went to school together, me and Luke and Lee as well. We went to school in Canning Town, and I don't think there was any. I can't remember any Tottenham. There was a few Arsenal though. I remember a few Arsenal fans. Yeah. But yeah, obviously majority West Ham, like you say, you just can't.
Cockney Reds, weren't they? Cockney Reds.
Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
Well, Liverpool. When I was growing up, Liverpool was the glory one. So there were some Liverpool fans, but I mean, the funny thing was, I remember the FA Cup being brought to our school.
All right.
Oh, big time. I remember Billy Bonds bringing the FA Cup to our school, wow. And that was the time you used to be able to touch it. We all had our picture taken with it. And funny enough, we had Billy Bonds come down. Alvin Martin came down the next week, and then, funny enough, the week after, Chris Akabusi came down. And I've actually got my picture with Chris. I met Chris Akabusi 4 or 5 times before we even started doing Hammers Chat all throughout my life. He spent a lot of his time at his aunt and uncle lived in Barkingside, and so we had all these fantastic sportsmen. But I've got a picture of myself and Akabusi, and I think I'm 10 or something like that, and he looks no different. I mean, 34 years ago. And
he's a big guy as well. He's a big guy. I met him at Upton Park a couple of years ago. So he's a big guy.
Well, he's a big personality. Certainly, he's a really nice guy, a bit of a hero of mine. But yeah, they all used to come down to school, and all of them. Jeff Hurst used to come down there, and I mean, just so many used to come down to school. It was just a West Ham area. That's just what you did. It was a community club, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Last question, mate. Favourite player of yours, mate, before we move on?
I mean, really, it was Billy Bonds, because it's funny, actually, because I find myself in a situation now where almost like listening to my dad talk about players, because I'm aware there's a whole generation of people who know Billy Bonds just by folklore. But Billy Bonds was really very, very unlucky not to have more England caps. I mean, we wouldn't be in the trouble we're in now if we had Billy Bonds. He could play anywhere. He could play at centre-back. He could have played at right back if we'd have needed him there. But central midfield, he was high energy. He would never shirk a tackle. He's out. He got the record number of appearances for a very, very good reason. So he was. Alvin, Phil Parks was a big one for me as well. But Alvin Martin was also, because I went to Alvin Martin soccer school in Wanstead Leisure Centre, and that was good. And I came third in that, and I got a football and a T-shirt from him. So yeah, he was a bit of a favourite of mine as well.
Where'd you play? What's your position?
Well, sort of fat, sat in a chair under the stairs position at the moment. Well, just before we come along, I just told the boys there that I've just stolen my children's jelly sweets, thrown all the foam ones out and eaten them. So I'm only getting bigger. I'm just going to increase this. I used to play on the right wing, believe it or not. I used to be thin and fast rather than fat and slow.
Yeah, I used to fancy myself as a winger as well. I weren't any good, but I used to run up and down a lot.
Yeah.
Right, let's get on to it. It is the West Ham podcast. So let's start, mate, with the Saints. Obviously, it was a little while ago now, and I know you guys have already talked about it on Hammers Chat, but obviously this is when we talk about it. Massive 3 points, big relief. Just you feel that relief around the whole ground and just the whole fan base in general. Big performances from Masuaku, Fernandez and Arnautovic. Just a great day, really, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, were you there?
No, mate, I've give up my season ticket because Lee went to Belarus, didn't he? So I actually give my season ticket up this year, yeah.
Oh, well, do you know what? You saw a lot of pain, but that was a day worth going to. It was very, very good. Obviously, you watched the match because you know how everybody played. Yeah, it was a funny old atmosphere before, because you know what it's like. You go to a game and everyone's asking, what do you think? What do you think the score might be? And I didn't really have an opinion. It was just hope. Desperate.
Nervous wreck.
Terrible, wasn't it? Terrible. But yeah, I mean, as you say, all of those guys. You're right. We did a review and we went through it afterwards. But then you get out of it, and I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a game, I'll often try and watch the game again on telly. Particularly as you might have alluded to, I might have had a sherbet or two at the game, so it's nice to look at it with a clear head. And I watched it again. I was so impressed with what I saw from Fernandez in particular.
Mario as well. Sorry, not even mentioning Mario. Mario, fantastic game as well. Goal and assist. But Yeah, when Antonio got injured, I was really like, oh, God, here we go. One of the players you don't need injured, especially where he'd been scoring, hadn't he? He'd had the 2 goals against Dagenham. He'd had the goal a couple of weeks before, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. But then Fernandes come on. It's like a brand new player. Energy, pace, just really good. Paul, what did you make of it? Obviously, let's have a little bit of word for you.
Yeah, no, I have to say, I only was able to watch the first half hour because I was working. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see the whole game. So all I see was, to be fair, the first half hour was probably the best bit to watch. And then obviously just the highlights on Match of the Day. So I can't say I saw the whole game, but it was, I mean, before the game, I know I was, but on this channel, we wrote the game off. I was thinking, no, we're going to get battered. I just thought if we concede early, the crowd's going to turn. It could get nasty. But fair play. It seems like they really come out, and they came out with energy. And I think we've done that a few times this season. We've come out with energy. We haven't got the goal that we maybe deserved. And then the players have started sort of, I don't know, it sort of got to them. They haven't got that goal, then we end up conceding and the collapse.
Run out of ideas as well, don't we? When it don't go in sometimes.
Yeah, but it seems like we did get the goal this time, deserved as well. And as I say, I only saw bits, but from what I saw, we were playing fantastic football. I think we have really missed Masuaku. He gives us such a better balance on that left-hand side and an outlet to get up and to carry the ball. Really, I think that's something we've been missing the last few weeks, is someone to carry the ball forward and carry the ball up the pitch.
Anything, Gonzo, from you?
Yeah, well, just something. Sorry, you'd have to excuse me, fellas, because I'm used to doing this thing with Gio, and the camera switches between it. So you know, and also we get these little prompts that makes it easier. So excuse me if I'm not as smooth as you boys usually are. And the camera goes off as well. I get to pick my nose when someone else is talking normally, but I'm conscious I'm on here all the time. Anyway, just something that you said, Luke, which was about Fernandes in particular, and when I was thinking about it. It made me think about Tony Henry and all that stuff that happened. And obviously it's bad what happened, but I think the other upshot is, I think if he's picking up players like him for 5 million, Masuaku for 5 million, say what you want about Chekiate. I mean, he was 6-7 million. I think we've had our money's worth out of him. Obiang as well, 5-6 million from Sampdoria. Those are really, really good players. And I just wonder, when we brought the other guys in, like Nathan Holland, who was brought in from Everton, I wonder how much he had to do with that. I wonder how big a miss he'll be, because I don't know what you'd get for Masuaku now. Not I want to sell him, but he would obviously be worth a lot more than that. And you look at Fernandes, if he could stay injury-free and play like that, it would suggest he could play in a number of positions. How much would he be worth as well? And I just wonder how much we'll miss, but it was just very heartening to see players that we haven't spent a fortune on performing to such a high level. And Antonio, who obviously got injured, who you alluded to as well, was another bargain buy, really.
No, like Fernandes, very, very impressed. I didn't realise how young he was, to be honest. I completely forgot. You know, he's one of them players I just forgot we even had him. And it was like, oh, he's back this week. And then it's like, yeah, do you know what? He was a tidy player when he was playing last year. Obviously, he scored against Chelsea, who we're playing next. We'll go into a bit more on that. But a lot of credit for Declan Rice as well. I think I would like to put a little statement out there as well. Fantastic. Probably one of our best centre-halves now.
Well, he's got to be a future captain. I don't want to see him dropped now. I mean, we could praise him all day. He's there now. I just don't want to think the Republic of Ireland thing did him a world of good. Man of the match in that game, playing senior international football. I think the fact that Martin O'Neill had gone to that game as well to watch him, so praised him. He was Martin O'Neill's man of the match as well. Martin O'Neill had said he was my man of the match today. So for him to then do that and then go to West Ham shows how much faith he's got in him. Yeah, I mean, we better buck our ideas up, otherwise we will lose players like that. And I don't want to. We need to build the club around him.
Some rumours as well that he's going to be putting about 40 grand a week, I believe. Sort of like I think it works out about 1,000% pay rise they're going to offer him. But give it to him, because like you say, mate, how much is he going to be worth in a couple of years' time? All these little things getting spattered that, he's the new John Terry, he's the next John Stones or whatever. We've got to keep these players safe. And at our club, like you say, we've got to back our ideas up massively.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is as well, you can look at his attributes as a player, and there's lots of people that have good attributes as players, but what there seems to be a real lack of in recent years, and you said John Terry, are leaders. I mean, just before him and a generation before him was Tony Adams, was a great leader. Roy Keane, of course, everybody will be aware of. These are leaders who they get on the pitch and they're not afraid. Number one, to point their finger, get everyone pulling in the right direction. But number two, actually start telling people where to stand and where to move to and to hold position. And it's, you know what it's like? It's hard enough. Imagine being a teenager going to a new place of work, because that's what it is, and start telling people that are more senior than you in a company what to do. You wouldn't do it. You'd feel too meek. You'd feel too scared. And it takes a big personality to do that. And the fact that he can go around and point and tell Ogbonna where to stand and tell Mark Noble to come a little bit closer to him and whatever, tell Fernandez to move away from him because he's going to get the pass. That just takes natural leadership. And I'll tell you what, they are you could look through the leagues, you will not see many natural leaders, and I doubt you'll see any at that age.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, mate. Like you say, that word is perfect. It's just natural. It's that natural is gifted to have that. I think the only thing is with him coming through is it's really shown for me this current crop of youngsters we've got at the club, how far off of his level they are. I'm talking your likes Oxford. Possibly he's kind of 50-50 at the minute, but your likes of Cullen, Samuelson, all around the same kind of age, nowhere near his level, and that kind of makes me think all these who we were thinking could be the next generation, are they good enough? What do you think? Do you think any of the other boys will be able to step in? Or
Holland will, and I think possibly it's so early to say. But I think Ben Johnson might have, but he's younger again. I think he was 16. I saw him. He played at Wickham in the Checker Trade Trophy, and he was 16 then. So again, we're 2-3 years lower than that. But I do believe Nathan Holland's injury came at a terrible time for him, because just as Moyes came in and took over, he was in ridiculous form. He was scoring goals, scoring free kicks. His delivery, that delivery that you saw Masuaku do against Southampton, that's Nathan Holland does that. That's really his thing. He terrorises defenders, can go either way, and we had a bit of an injury crisis, and he would have got game time, because we saw people like Queener and Haksabanovic have got on the pitch. I've seen them play. They're not ready yet. I mean, all this stuff with Queener's being linked with Real Madrid and AC Milan. Well, maybe I know nothing, but I just can't see it.
Again, what's he, 17, Keener?
Yeah,
he's still very, very young. Yeah,
I'm only a little fella. I mean, he's tiny. I've stood next to him. He's tiny. Nathan Holland, I do think it's just time, and it's worked out timing-wise for Declan Rice. I do think we've got one in Nathan Holland, but you're right. There are a number of them who maybe are a little bit older, like Burke and Cullen and people like that. I think they'll move on. Oxford, that's disappointing, but I'll tell you what, nobody has suffered more than Reece Oxford for Declan Rice coming through, and it's almost like if we sold him, I'd be okay with it if we kept Declan Rice.
I think I would. Yeah, I think I would, mate, to be honest with you.
I think there is with Oxford. Sorry, Luke. With Oxford, I think there is still a lot of potential there, but I don't think he wants to be at West Ham anymore. I think he's away from West Ham now. And I think that's it. I think his time at the club's probably up. But yeah, sorry, mate. Go on. You were going to say.
I was just going to say, mate. I hope we don't see like another sort of Rav situation with him. Sort of bags of talent, bags of promise, and he just doesn't work out for him. Because Rav was a fantastic player as well. I know he wasn't a youth team, but he was a fantastic player, Rav.
I still, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I still hope it will come good. It was a funny one with Morrison, because it was a time when we had Allardyce, and we were just so desperate for anyone with flair. I mean, you asked me about my favourite players earlier. I didn't actually mention anyone with flair, but there were loads of them, and it doesn't matter whether it was Brooke in Devonshire going on a little bit, Berkovic, Di Canio, Stuart Slater, whatever. We've always liked a flair player at West Ham, and I think we were so desperate and denied it under Sam Allardyce, that when you saw Morrison come through, and he had so much ability, and even Zarate to a lesser extent, you thought, actually, here's someone that can control the ball, here's someone that can dribble. I just want someone to dribble. We had that whole thing with Allardyce. He would find players if they had long shots and stuff like that. Crikey, the man was tedious. And and because of that, I think I always wanted Morrison to be I wanted him to be great. It was such a shame.
No, we all did. I actually really rated Zarate. I was gutted when we sold him, because he was, like you say, he was a player that could make something happen. He was a player that
He
could
just held
unlock
on
a
to the ball a bit
defence.
too much. So I think that's the only thing with him. He just held on to the ball that little bit too long sometimes. But he was a nice player. He was a nice little player.
Yeah, very good.
Right, mate. Moving on. So, what do you think we need now? What? How many points now? 33 now. 5 points. Obviously, that win was massive on Saturday. I think 30 enough.
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. But we need the three of whatever, the 3 of the 4, whatever, needs to be against Stoke because their running is horrendous. Make no mistake about it. Stoke will be looking at us and thinking we need points off of that one. Yeah. So I think if we get points off of that, then if we can nick one, you know, it's the league. Well, obviously West Brom are gone. You'd hope Southampton are really. Yeah, I think it is. I think
we're nearly there. I think we're nearly there now. I'm a lot more confident than I was, 2 weeks ago.
Beat, like you say, I think beat Stoke and that's it. We're safe. Beat Stoke and we're safe. Lose and we're right back in it.
I'll be honest though, mate. I fancy us on Sunday. I really do fancy us for a change, and I'm really negative usually. I fancy us to take a win against Chelsea. I'll be honest with you.
I've been saying it's a great time to play them. I've been saying for a while, this running everyone's talking about, such a bad running. I honestly think we're gonna definitely get at least one win from one of the big clubs, definitely, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it come. But the only thing is I don't know, they haven't really got anything to play for at the minute now, Chelsea, but they've got a point to prove. Do you know what I mean? Especially Conte. If we beat him, Conte could be him.
Yeah, but I think he's gone anyway. I think he don't really care anymore. And my dad made a good point, actually. With the players at the moment, obviously, starts getting very close to the World Cup now, and if they've not got much to play for, maybe they start shirking the tackles a little bit more, thinking about that World Cup, keeping fit. These big teams could start playing into our hands when we need it.
Yeah. Funny, I was watching the old the match last night, Liverpool and
unbelievable,
and Doberry Watts it, and even though City obviously got a pasting, I was thinking, thank goodness we're not playing for these teams, anytime soon. And I mean, there just seems to be such a gulfing class now between, I guess, the big guys and everybody else. Even dare I say it, Tottenham. If you look at their turnover, just announced their turnover's gone up by another 100 million. Well, that's big boys' money. That really is, and they've got to a level. I hate to say it, they're not really our rivals anymore. We used to laugh because I used to think they were a big club. Well, you know what? It looks like they might, but they need to win the trophy. Don't get me wrong, and more than one probably. But in terms of numbers and regularly qualifying for the Champions League, they do seem to be up there, and there's such a big gap. And I was looking at those teams last night, watching Liverpool running ragged, and actually they still got what's his name, Cater, to come from Leipzig, who's a very very good player. They've still got whatever next year's transfer budget plus 75 million burning a hole in their pocket, and they've already paid for Cater, I think. So they're not going to spend another 100 million. Man City will probably spend 150 million. So when you play these big clubs, you really need something to go your way because they're better than you. They have better players than you do.
Pace as well, frightening pace.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, with that in mind, I would suggest, if there were 3 I wouldn't want to play, it would probably be Tottenham, Liverpool, and Man City. If I had to pick 3 that are, maybe funny enough, it would be the 3 that we do have left. So, and I think Chelsea, good time. Arsenal are, well, they're Arsenal. They're flaky.
Well, in theory, they could be thinking about the Europa League, mate. If they're still in it, their eyes will be on that. That could be their Champions League place, and that might play into our hands as well.
I reckon Arsenal are struggling, so they will turn us over. Guarantee it. They need a win. They'll get it against West Ham. I reckon they'll turn us over big time. But I do reckon we can get something from Chelsea. It depends what Chelsea team turns up.
Yeah.
Depends what West Ham team turns up, to be fair.
Obviously, at London, a rare win for us this year. Obviously, Arnautovic, a great goal with a 1-0. Last season, though, obviously, we lost there, didn't we? 2-1.
I was there. Yeah, I was there, actually. Yeah.
It was first game of the season,
It was. Yeah.
Collins scored a blinding half volley, I think, in the box, and then Costa scored in the last minute, if I remember.
Yeah. He went in. He went on a nasty challenge on Adrian. Actually,
That's right.
Yeah. I was at that game. Yeah. But we're not. It's not like Liverpool was for years and years before the last season at Upton Park. We didn't beat Liverpool for years. We just couldn't beat Liverpool. Chelsea ain't like that. We can beat Chelsea. Historically, we can beat Chelsea. Recent years, we've beaten Chelsea. So, and
when was the last time we beat them at the Bridge? We ain't beat them there for a long time.
I don't know. But things are different. Their manager, the manager is unloved and on his way. Obviously, they got the only thing is the Wilkins thing, and because he was so. Well, obviously loved by everyone he played for, but also I think liked and respected by other fans just because he seemed like a nice man, and he had 80 odd England caps, and it is very sad because he was so heavy in the media. Everyone would have seen him or heard him on telly very, very recently, so it's just a very, very sad story. So you just wonder what that's. I've seen a lot of these things when players pass away, ex-players, and what it does to a crowd. And I mean, funny enough, we played Man United just after George Best had passed away and stuff like that. So I mean, you don't know what that's going to do. Is that just that one game going to galvanise the management or something? I don't know. But that aside, I do think it's a good time to play him because he's under pressure. Hazard wants to leave.
Good idea last week as well from Spurs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. So I wouldn't be surprised. If we got something.
I'll take a point, though. I would take a point. If it's another point off the 4 in it that we need, in my opinion, 4 points.
Absolutely.
What's your predictions, though?
Paul?
I don't know. I got it all wrong last week, so I don't know. I think if we're gonna win, there's so many factors. What West Ham team's going to turn up? Are we going to sit back and try and hit them on the break? Are we going to go at them? Are they going to come out?
Does Fernandes start for you as well? Does Fernandes start for you?
I would play exactly the same team that, obviously, after Antonio went off, I would play that same team in this game. Yeah, I think they all deserve to start.
Lanzini, is Lanzini back? They did say he might be back, didn't they, for this game?
I wouldn't put him in. As much as everyone knows, I absolutely love Lanzini. I think he's by far one of our top 3 players, probably our second best player after Arnautovic. But I don't believe in chopping and changing a winning team. I think the team that played I think they deserve a run out against Chelsea. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't bring him in. I'd definitely obviously have him on the bench and he can come on to try and change the game if we need it. But as far as predictions go, I really don't know. I don't know. I'm going to say I just don't know. I don't know. 2-2.
Gonzo?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to come on here and your fine, lovely show and say something positive and all the rest of it. And I think we can win. And like Paul said, I don't think I would change anything as much as I love Lanzini as well and do rate him highly. But he's not going to throw another attacking player in there. Fernandes shored it up so well. He brings energy, and I'm not saying Lanzini's lazy.
Mario deserves his chance as well, doesn't he, by himself for a while now?
I do. Look, you can't have a performance like that. Even Hart, I mean, I would never have played Hart in front of Adrian, and it's not like Hart was flinging himself around. If Hart didn't have anything to do apart from, whatever, I don't know, have a chat with a ball boy or whatever. He had nothing. He had nothing to do. But I just think it sends out the wrong message to change a winning team. So I'd even keep Hart in there as well. In terms of the prediction, I do think this. If it sounds horrible saying it because you're talking about the death of someone, a really nice bloke. But I do think it is going to have an impact on the game, and I just think it's just gonna knit them together enough, and they've got enough good players. And I think I've slagged Morata off so much. He's gonna have a blinder and he's gonna score, and I can see Chelsea winning 2-0 actually. Sorry.
That's fine, mate. That's fine. Oh, yeah, I think positive me says 2-1 West Ham, but the real me, with me head and not my heart, says 2-1 Chelsea. I think Willian's got quite a good record against us as well, and he likes scoring against us. Right, moving on. Just before we go into the questions, I just want to get your take, Gonzo, where you sort of stood in terms of the march and stuff, and where you feel about the board and what we need to go on as a club. Like, what needs to happen in your opinion? I think it's only fair any guests to give them their sort of voice.
Okay, I was originally sort of swept along by the original fanfare of the march, but the longer it went on, the less keen I was to do it. I mean, I think you've got to separate it from, everyone's very black and white. So just because you don't want to march doesn't mean you think the board are doing a good job. I mean, I could tell you about the board. I mean, I really could. But in terms of the march, I felt it had a big part to play in what happened at Burnley, the march getting cancelled. I think a lot of people travelled a long way to march, and they had the rug pulled out from under their feet. And I felt really, really bad for them. The truth of the matter is I was not going to go on that march by that point. So it sort of worked out a bit, convenient for me, because by the time it got to it, all the stuff that happened on Facebook and all the rest of it, at that point, you saw all the nasty messages that went out at that point. I thought, actually, I can't take my son anywhere near this place.
Yeah.
And I was right. And I was right, because you looked at what happened at Burnley, and whilst no children got hurt or anything like that, there was a lot of stuff that didn't get seen. I mean, and just in our block, I didn't put it in the vlog because it wouldn't be right to, because it was, but there was a fight, probably about 8 rows back. Where you watch, if you ever watch my vlogs where you see me come up the stairs, right there as I come up the stairs, there was a fight there. So do you know what? It wasn't right to take a young child into there. So subsequently, I'm not pro marching. I do think we're very. What it did highlight to me is how fragmented we are as not just a fan base, but in terms of all the groups involved. And if now more than ever, we need a unified, not just fan base, I think we need a unified group. The fact that 16, 17 groups are represented, well, that's just too many. It just doesn't happen at other clubs. I think we all need to get behind, and that's why I wish the Supporters Advisory Board or WISA or somebody could just get it together and have everybody on board, and we all support them, and somebody is elected, and somebody actually goes in and speaks on everyone's behalf, rather than everybody and trying to please 17 different groups or whatever it was. So that was my problem, was that, and from us at Hammers Chat, I got to the point where I said, actually, I need to sort of distance myself from this, which is why I'll do what you do. When we're a little snazzy podcast or whatever. I don't represent anyone. You know what I mean?
We don't represent the whole fans. This show personally is a news show. It's a West Ham news show. Do you know? We talk about West Ham, talk bollocks basically.
It's opinions.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. It's opinions. Yeah. Although I spoke. Yeah, if anyone see our videos around that time, I spoke very, very strongly, and I did feel, and I still do feel very, very strongly about it all. I was very much for the march, and the stuff that happened around it really, really wound me up. But at the same time, I know you're exactly right. It's our own opinions. We've never claimed to speak for anybody but ourselves. This is our own opinions, and it is entertainment. But at the same time, channels. We're quite a small channel. Obviously, Gonzo, you guys have a much bigger voice than us, and then you've got the likes of West Ham Fan TV, again on another level, massive voice, and they are in a position where they can affect change. These groups to different levels, even including ourselves, we are in a position where we can affect change, and we can be a voice of some of the fans, not all the fans, but at least some of the fans that follow us. And I do think that's important. I think that is important where we've been given this platform. As I say, we're a small channel. There's other channels much bigger than us.
You don't have to keep saying it, mate. Go on. I'm interested in your point.
No. Like I say, it's like I do feel like that there's an opportunity there to try and make change for the better for the club. And I feel like it would be wasted to just step back and say, it's pure entertainment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, I'll take your point, and I'm very interested by your point because myself and Gio differ on this. And to the point we were even talking about it just privately the other day, and I do very much see us as. I didn't know all this YouTube stuff and all the rest of it. It hadn't my extent. As I say, we were doing forum and all the rest of it. And it was something, you know, Gio very much wanted to do a YouTube channel, and that's why we started doing it. I was on Twitter once, right? And somebody posted a picture, and they had 4 beers and a Chinese takeaway, right? And they had a picture, so take the picture. They had their feet up on the sofa, and they had our thing on the screen. And it said, just got beer, just got me Chinese, and I'm about to watch a cup of tea with Gio and Gonzo. And it was, and then it hit me then. I thought, hold on, that's my wife's just about to do that, but it's Holby City. And I realised then actually we were someone was going to take an hour out of their time. Sounds silly, doesn't it? Someone's going to take an hour of their time to sit down and listen to what we've got to say. So I totally appreciate what you're saying. The trouble with the next stage, which is having that responsibility to go and do something, is you're right. You've got you got your 2,400. So you're nearly at the 2,500. Right.
Yeah,
So
2,500.
so you've got your subscribers there. So you've got 2,500 there. Someone else got 2,500. Someone else got 5,000. Blah blah blah. For everyone to come together is so difficult because, and this is where it all fell down with the march, by the way. It was so drummed up and so big, and it was a lot of people joined in because they were sick of what the board were doing. They were sick of the way the club had been running, and then to find out the club the thing had been cancelled because the Memorial Garden had to tidy up because of this, that, and the other. Don't get me wrong, the Memorial Garden should be treated like a green at Augusta. It really should. But with the utmost respect, people have had their ashes scattered there. So let's get that right. But with all due respect, that's not what got people up to march. So when it got cancelled for 5 small reasons, people thought, hold on a second, I still want the board out. And then it's, hold on, we weren't marching for board out. We were marching for something else. And whilst they might have technically said that all the way along, it had become something greater. But behind it had become more than a few flags or the bridge being named Billy Bond's Bridge or whatever the case may be. And I think at that point, that's why there was this frustration inside the club. And I just think it's always going to be difficult to pull everyone in the right direction because, do you know what?
No doubt.
You know what I mean? We've got little things that we want done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree with that. You know, like you say, it's going to be impossible. You're never going to get everyone.
As well, isn't he? Lee's very much of that sort of back off opinion. Yeah. Yeah,
and like you say, you're never going to get everyone after exactly the same thing. Like you say, that's not going to happen. But no, I do think you're right, mate. It did get to a point where there's too many groups. It was too fragmented. It does seem like the ISA seem to be trying to sort of take on that mantle. What do you make of that? Do you think that? Is there any particular group that you think should be got behind? Should there be a new group?
Well, I just want... unfortunately, the thing that's happened with Worcester, they've been tired of a brush. But what you've got with them is they get to re-elect their council and their elected chairperson, let's say, once a year. So that you can go for that with the... There's an affiliate of supporters associations which are recognised by the Premier League and recognised by clubs. Everyone's got one. They're the one. So if anything's going to be done, I think it probably needs to be done with them. How it all became political, left and right, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that was no idea
what politics had got to do with West Ham. I guess the thing that you've got, the problem is because one of them is associated with Sadiq Khan. It's not because it's left or right. The problem is Sadiq Khan is seen as being anti-West Ham because he's in direct opposition to Karen Brady, who's probably going to want to run for London Mayor. That in itself is a conflict of interest. So that may be tarred Wisser, but I think now they're up to 4,000, 5,000 members. I'm not a member because I just think we all have our say anyway. You know, listen, I'm not sure. I am not sure that any West Ham Supporters Association really needs a blogger going in there, and I think it's for people who don't get a chance to speak, to have a thing, and then you have a vote. I think everyone should be a member, and you can just get one vote, and I think so. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see the proper recognised Supporters Association become stronger. Have a little clear out, have a spring clean, let's say, and go on from strength to strength, and then everyone has a vote. It's got to be democratic. It's got to be democratic, and then you don't get all these. Oh well, I said this, I said this, I said this. You put it to a vote. 80% vote for this. You have then a mandate to carry forward, and that's how I just think that's how it needs to be done.
Yeah. Before this turns into Prime Minister's questions, one more thing from you on this. What do the board need to do for you then? So, just your opinion, what would make you happy as a fan? You are not talking for all the West Ham fans out there before Gonzo starts talking.
Yeah. Firstly, I have zero faith that they know what they're doing. I think they're just permanently behind the times, which I know that's not the question you asked, but anything I say, what I think they're going to implement, I just don't think they're going to do. I think they're behind the times. I think they still think that 20 million is a lot for a player.
We said that last week, actually.
But I actually think it's a feature of what they do. I think they're behind the times. I mean, look at when they... Obviously, we all know obviously we've got no swearing policy, but you know the industry that they were in before.
Yeah.
What a time to get out of that industry. What terrible judgment. At the exact time when that industry was going on to go on the internet and become worth billions, they sell up and get out of there. They were still stuck in sort of magazines and corner shops and stuff like that. Oh, that whole industry, as you know, we're all talking about, and there's some big brand names in it. Not that I'm sure you fellas have never watched that sort of thing in your lives, of course.
I don't know what you're talking about,
me neither. I'm just anyway. But to get out of that then at a time when people, I think, shows a lack of judgment. If that is your business, surely you should see a trend. Surely you should see that business model moving forward. And the fact that they would get up and sell out then is weird. So I think they were behind the times when they were in that adult industry, let's say. I still think they're stuck in sort of Birmingham mindset now. I still think they've got a small club mentality, and it's penny pinching, as we've seen with the accounts. 700 grand here, and we'll pinch that there, even though it's worth billions. So I just don't think we're going to spend the necessary money.
How much do we need to spend? Like, for you, what do you think would need investment if it was a good board? Let's pretend that they went and it was a good board in there this summer.
Right, you have to justify the move. So we could have carried on at Upton Park and spent 35 million in the transfer window. That's fine, to really show that we have progressed. And I don't think this is going to touch those topics we discussed earlier on in the show. I would like to see some ambition for West Ham. I'd like to see us spend 80 million. That
very good players.
Exactly. Do you know what? And that is exactly right. And you take those two very good players, and you still bring Declan Rice on. You still have Fernandes getting better. We've spoken about Nathan Holland. You've already done your Arnautovic. Two very good players. 80 million. He almost seems so proud sometimes. You can imagine him saying, we got a nice war chest to give to Davy Moyes. We're going to give Davy Moyes 40 million. This, he wants a right back, a central midfielder, and a right winger. Are we going to get three 15 million players? It's not going to cut it. But you wait and see what Wolves do when they come up.
We sat every single week on this channel, mate, about Carvalho deal. Like, the difference I think he would have made for our team to have him in there. I'm not saying no guarantee of success, paying £40 million out, but I think him being there in that centre midfield would have been a massive difference to our team. And like we say, two big £40 million players could potentially change our team from struggling at the bottom to touching distance of that top six, challenging it, I would say.
Yeah, also.
There's so many players, I think, this summer as well that's going to need replacing. I mean, we could be looking at 2 new goalkeepers for a start. You're looking at the likes of Evra, Zabaleta, Collins, all going to need replacing. Probably Hernandez, possibly Andy Carroll. I think we're going to be in trouble. We're going to need to spend serious dough this summer. We apart from that defensive midfielder, I think midfield's decent enough. But behind that and in front of that, we're so light, it's frightening.
Yeah. I still think we're light in central midfield. I really do. I think that's the problem area, actually, in many respects.
apart from, like I say, if we bought in a defensive midfielder, so say for example we bought in Carvalho, you have still got your likes, assuming that they stay obviously, you have still got your likes of Obiang, Kouyaté, Lanzini, Noble, Fernandez. I don't know, I think that's probably the least of our problems. May possibly even Mario, although I don't think we're ever going to pay 30 million to keep him.
I hope the Russian guy comes. I would like to see the Russian dude come.
Smolov.
Yeah.
Well, that's been poo-pooed today. To be,
oh, is it? Oh.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, this worries me when I see the links. Number one, I think, why are we linked with anyone? We should be linked with nobody because the director of football's not in place yet.
Yeah.
The fact that we're being linked with people makes me think on Sullivan's trying the old same old do it, because actually the biggest one in that was Hernandez, who's our top wage earner. How did we buy a player that neither the manager at the time in Bilic or the subsequent manager in Moyes fancied?
Yeah.
He bought a player for a system no one was ever going to play. So that was clearly a Sullivan deal. You can see that. So, but now I see we're linked with the Scottish international who's at Fulham. 29 years of age. I don't know him. I don't think I've ever seen him play. But the fact we are linked with a 29-year-old journeyman from Fulham, why are we linked with him? Firstly, because we don't have a director of football. But even if we were, why would we go after someone like that? Is that honestly what we need to get
just
better?
Lack of ambition. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Do you think Moyes will still be there, mate, in the summer before we move on to the questions?
Yes, I do, because I think we'll get the necessary points we discussed earlier, and I think he's as I said, I think the owners are way behind the times. I think there's a new breed of manager. We've seen it with Pardew. I think you can see it with Mourinho a little bit. I think there's a new breed of manager come through, and I think they're still stuck in there. I mean, we get David Moyes. I'm just thankful Alex McLeish has now got the Scotland job, so we would have probably had him with Steve Bruce as his thing. Oh, yeah, Warnock. We probably have Warnock, as I've said before. Moyes is exactly the type of manager that our owners like.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Right, let's move on. SB says, how many points do you think we'll be getting between now and the end of the season? So we've done how many we think we're going to stay up. How many do you think we'll actually finish on?
I think we'll actually finish on 38.
Yeah,
that's a decent 37,
38, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to give Sam that. Sam will be relishing it, but I think we'll probably be safe by the time Sam comes.
So.
And I think, and I think if he hasn't got any chance to relegate us, he won't care. He's not staying there. He's getting sacked as well from that job, and so I think that plays out as a point. So I think Everton is a point as long as there's no pressure on it.
Yeah. Ken Alfield, if we are not happy with Moyes for next season, then who can we get allowing for the David Sullivan who will not spend any money? For me, we are at our limit and hope he does stay. Nothing will change until they go. Good point, Ken.
Well, Marco Silva's still a free agent, isn't he? Still without a club.
Pellegrini, obviously, he's linked.
Pellegrini, yeah.
Well, I agree, though. No one's going to sign for them unless they're guaranteed sort of money like Gonzo was saying, that 80 to 100 mil mark.
No one big.
No.
No one big. I still let you go and get the Bristol manager. I think he comes. So there's you got to remember there's no route. There's no route for young aspiring English managers, British managers into the Premier League. So they would take working for a bad boss, which is what it is. So I mean, like the geezer at Brentford play some brilliant football. Absolutely brilliant football. Someone like that. Someone at so what's his name? What's the Bristol geezer's name again?
I can't remember his name, mate.
It's Johnson. Is it Johnson? His name's Johnson. He's got his dad's manager as well. Gary Johnson?
Possibly.
It might be Gary Johnson. It might be Gary Johnson. People like that will play for a bad boss and won't need 100 million. So I think you could. But what that shows, you need a depth of knowledge of the scouting system. But they won't. They don't want that. They want a British manager, ideally between the age of 55 and 65. That's what they want.
Yeah. Joshua says, would you like, I think it says, Bukanovic as our manager? If Moyes goes, great attacking style, very good at youth development as well.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, I would take him. I would take him. It's so difficult because probably exactly like you just said, Gonzo. Like, I feel like it doesn't really matter what manager we bring in now if they're going to be constrained by Sullivan at the helm. And again, we said this last week. You know, it's all very well, even if we do manage to sort out the scouting, we get in a director of football. At the end of the day, Sullivan's the one signing the checks.
Yeah, £25 a month.
Yeah,
a month.
And I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I wouldn't be devastated. I'd be happy enough if Moyes stayed, to be honest with you. I would love a young, exciting manager to come in, but is it going to happen? I don't know. Probably not. For all the managers that realistically we could get, I'm happy enough for Moyes, to be honest.
Yeah, the trouble is with Moyes and his style of football, the club are in a legal dispute with the stadium operator. They're not actually paying their rent at the moment. The club are not paying their rent because they want it moved from 57,000 to 66,000. Now, make no mistake about it. For us to go from 34,000 at Upton Park to 57,000 is a miracle. That says everything that needs to be said about West Ham fans. People said we couldn't fill the stadium. All right, maybe we haven't filled it. Maybe we don't. But you know what? Conservatively, we get 50,000. That's still a miracle to jump from 50 to go from 35 to 50. We've done well. We've shown that we're a bigger club than people thought we actually were. If you want to get 66,000 bums on seats, you better play some juicy football and you better encourage people in there. And I just don't think the David Moyes football is going to do that. So whoever that be, your Fulham manager, he could bring Sessing on with him if he wanted to, but. Whoever comes, if someone does come, then they want those 66,000. I think they do, otherwise they wouldn't go legal with it. You've got to want to go, Luke. You've got to want to get your season ticket back because you've got to want to be desperate to go there to watch his attacking football because Arnautovic and whoever the new guy is scoring every game. The fullbacks are bombing forwards. The new midfielders scoring 30-yard pile drivers. You've got to want, and then you go and you keep going. You keep going. I just don't think Moyes is the man to fill 66,000 seats.
I see what you're saying, but for that kind of brand of football to actually happen, you know, you need City money, you need Liverpool money, you need even the likes, or you need a serious amount of time like Tottenham. I know they've still spent a serious amount of money. I just don't think we're ever going to have that team, definitely not under these owners, to play that kind of football. Regardless of what manager you bring in, he's going to be constrained by the players at the club.
Because we don't get to build. We don't get to build. Like I see a few rumours actually. Like players I'd like to see us go and buy. Not for the juicy football, just in terms of showing ambition. You know, the guy from Brighton, that Dunk, and people like that. And you need some players like that. Some real good, solid players that can build that base, like you're saying, mate. Then they can play juicy football off that. But will we go and pay Dunk money? Like how much is Dunk worth now? Will we go and pay that sort of money for him? I doubt it.
No, I don't think we. I think you can play football without spending what the top six spend. I do think you can have ambition. You can play throwing football. You can. I mean, Brighton to a certain extent play a decent brand of football. Swansea, I love the manager at Swansea, by the way. I know he was at Sheffield Wednesday before, but you know what do you ever see as Sheffield Wednesday? None of it. I love him in interviews. I love the way he sends the team out to play. I think you can do it, and I think I think you could do it with a decent war chest and the players that we've got without any threat of relegation. I think you can play a football and finish 10th comfortably, right? I really do. I'm not saying change the top ones, but even just playing that brand of football, finishing 10th and having a cup run would be enough to pack that stadium out.
Yeah, agree. I think it says Arnie. What goalie should we go for that might take Adrian's place if he decides to go back to Betis? Is that Man United reject goalie any good as a starter, or is there anyone else that you would go for?
Two big names on free transfers, which I'm sure the owners will absolutely be loving at the minute. And you're talking Peter Cech and Iker Casillas.
Really? Casillas, yeah?
Yeah.
I think we've discussed it before in the goalkeepers. You've got the massive elite, you know, your De Geers, your Buffons, your the geezer at Bayern Munich, can't remember bloody name now.
Yeah.
Neuer, that's it, yeah. And then after that, it goes pretty sort of very similar across the board, doesn't it? So to actually make that big step up to have a real good goalkeeper, you're not really in that league, in my opinion. Us.
Mhm.
I think Butland's brilliant. I really do. I think he's come off a long injury, but I do think he's the most naturally talented one. I think Pickford's good as well. I think they've had a rough ride at Everton,
Yeah.
and it was such a big burden on someone. Like we said about Rice earlier, but that mental strength, that leadership. I think sometimes, someone from a relegated club that gets bought for 30 odd million, that weighs heavily on a player if you're not mentally, very, very strong. So if we could, I don't think the owners would go for Butler, but there is one opportunity that's presented itself, and that is that Heaton is come back to fitness now. And Sean Dyche has said that he doesn't have a number one keeper. Well, that's all very nice, but both of those, who are both now wanting to be in the England squad, will not accept that. One of them will not be prepared to play second fiddle to the other one. So I think one of those guys is up for grabs. You've also seen with they sold Gray and they sold the centre back Kane, didn't they? Burnley will sell a player. I think whoever they highlight as that's fine. I would like us to go bid for the other one.
Yeah. Jamie Gill, if you had to pick 2 players to sign from each of the teams in the bottom 3, West Brom, Stokes, Southampton, if they went down, who would it be? Stoke, I keep saying it. I want Shaqiri if they go down. I would quite like him. He's a nice little player. Links up well with Arnautovic. I'd take him if we can get him for a good deal.
Shaqiri's a good shout. Rondon, possibly.
Yeah, I like Rondon. Something that we would need actually as well. A bit of pace, big, powerful player.
Chadley, maybe.
Butland, we said, of course.
Yeah.
I like Redmond.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a good player. That's a good shout, man. That's a very good shout, yeah.
Where's Bertrand?
He is there, isn't he? He is there.
Yeah, but we don't really need that, I guess, do we? We got Arthur there, who's come back now. There's some decent players. Who's that?
Boufal, was it? Is that the Southampton guy, Boufal? He came on.
Oh, yeah.
Was a little bit of trouble when he came on.
Left winger.
The weekend.
Yeah, I think there's some talent, but I don't think you want to buy. Having said that, Johnny Evans, I was just about to say you don't want to buy defenders from relegated teams. Having said that, someone will buy Johnny Evans and they'll get a good player.
What did I see? Was his release clause? He's saying stupid, like 3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for 3 million, you'd take him all day long.
Yeah.
I think he'll go to one of them other clubs, to be honest. I think he'll go somewhere else.
Oh, Tottenham. That is a David Levy buy. They'll get rid of the
Alderweireld.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They'll get rid of him because he don't want to sign a new contract. They'll sell him on for 20 million in the last year of his contract, and they'll get Johnny Evans in for 3 million. That is typical Daniel Levy because I hate to say it, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. No, I sat all the time on this channel. People accuse me of being a Tottenham fan, but I always go.
Well, you're not.
The way that club is run is how I would love West Ham to be run. That is perfectly run football club. That club.
He says in his white shirt.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Cockerell as well.
It does, mate.
I've got all their training gear in my wardrobe. No, I actually read something. Just one more on top. I read something about Daniel Levy. He put himself on £6 million, and he's actually the highest paid person at the club, including players as well. And I think that's a big statement as well. Like, yeah, you are the biggest man at that club. Why not be the man who's earning the most money?
It's an absolute travesty in football that managers don't earn more than players, and he's the boss of the manager. So why shouldn't he? Listen, for all Brady's stuff. And listen, I think you can hear from everything I've said about West Ham and the ownership and if they're backwards. And I am not a supporter. Just because I didn't want to march doesn't mean I am a supporter of the board. For everything that they've done, Brady is the chief executive, and in Premier League terms, she's not even particularly well paid. I've got no problem with her taking a wage or any chief executive. What I don't like is how the owners take interest out. I'd actually prefer if they didn't take interest and actually they did take a wage.
Yeah.
That would be more transparent rather than fiddling the tax here and doing this there, offshore dissolved accounts, dissolved companies and all that. So Levy's doing a fantastic job. He's probably the best at that job in the league. So horrible, isn't it? Horrible. I don't even like him. He got a smarmy look about him as well. Those are my opinions, not yours, just in case he's going to come after me. But yeah.
I'm sure you won't get no heat, mate, on a West Ham channel. Ken again. Was the result on Saturday down to the players realising they had to perform because of how the fans reacted in the Burnley game? And if yes, then why have we not seen this on a regular way to keep us up and out of the relegation problem? the West Ham way, mate. That's what I'm going to say. That is typical West Ham. How often do you see a West Ham team? I don't know about your generation, Gonzo. Obviously, you're a little bit further back than us, but I would say about 4 or 5 times a year you actually see a performance like that, where we press, we show pace, we pass the ball nice. We don't get that level of performance often enough.
Well, that's why the top players cost so much. Because they're better. It's like we were talking about Zarate the other. You were saying, maybe just hang on to the ball a little bit too much, and maybe people didn't like him because he didn't track back. Well, actually, those guys that can deliver the ball exactly when you're meant to, can dribble, can pass, can shoot. Well, they're called Paul Pogba, and they cost 85 million quid, and so what you get is inconsistent players, because the players that can do it all the time, like Aguero or whoever else. No, we can't afford them. That's why Di Canio. We only got Di Canio. Di Canio was brilliant. Okay, we only got Di Canio
damaged goods
because he assaulted a referee and he couldn't play away from home. Right?
So with Payet, really bad apple in Marseille.
Absolutely. He was perfect for West Ham. And unfortunately, when you have those level of players, and we always have, apart from going back even before my time, you're going to get an inconsistency of performance, and I think there was, but even back in the good old days, let's say back in the good old days, even back in those days, there were a lot more local players in the team, so you would at least get a bit more effort. Even someone like Alvin Martin. I tell you what Alvin Martin was like. He's like Ginge now, in that, a bit more cultured actually on the ball, but he was a Scouser, right? Just to say, Ginger's a proud Welshman. But he's Cockney, right? He really is. He's claret and blue. Alvin Martin was a Scouser, but he's claret and blue. They got it. They got it. But I think because they're British as well, and I think that's the extra layer you've got now, as there are so many foreign players in the team now. You boys are from Canning Town. You don't have to be from Canning Town to understand what West Ham's about. Because as you've seen, there's a Welshman. We've just discussed a Scouser as well. Carlton Cole was a one. He had West Ham at heart. He was from Chelsea.
God rest him. He's retired now, so
absolutely. But he was from Chelsea. You don't have to come from West Ham to understand it. But I do think the foreigners struggle. And I think when the going gets tough, it's even harder. And you see them pressed like that, you think, why don't you do it all the time? The answer to the original question: do I think it was a result of what happened at Burnley? Maybe. It'd be a shame if it takes that to get the players playing, though, doesn't it?
I agree with that, yeah.
I think it's a little bit of what you keep saying the whole show, Gonzo, mate. It's that lack of leadership, We were crying out for that Scott Parker character, to sort of drag us. And we haven't really got that at the minute. And if it takes a 17, 18-year-old to do that, then albeit all good for me. Yeah. Tony Wallace, a lot of the questions are very similar, but I'm going to give people a chance. With us clearly needing a clear out of some players and rebuild for next season, can you see the owners making a statement and backing whatever the manager will end up with, or will we carry on big talk, end up with loans and cheap options?
Cheap
options for
me.
Yeah,
the second one.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%.
I think he half means it, Sullivan, but I just think he's still stuck in the past. I still think he thinks 10 million is a lot to pay for him.
He's still thinking, do you know what, 15 million gets you Alan Shearer. Do you know what I mean?
He said a couple of seasons ago, we got 25 million pound in the bank for a 20-goal a season striker. You what?
Yeah.
Have you seen? Well, he's called Harry Kane, right?
And he's worth about 200 million.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's right, mate. Totally right. Instagram this one. Old sold in. If you can choose 3 pros this season and 3 cons, what are they?
3's a lot.
Should we try and come up with one each? For me, 1 pro, Arnie, fantastic. Started off really bad. Question marks around his attitude, but there's no doubt. Listen, there is a vibe there. I don't know whether you agree, Gonzo. There is a Di Canio vibe there. Some of the dribbling, there's a Di Canio swagger there.
Yeah, listen, I slagged somebody off earlier for whoever signed Hernandez, not because I think he's a bad player, but I don't think he's fit in our system. somebody signed an out of it, and whoever did deserves praise, because he looked like he was an inconsistent left winger at Stoke, and he looks like some highly skilled. He looks like he's got everything. Yeah, as a positive. I'll chuck a positive in. I know we've already discussed it, but it'd be Declan Rice. I don't want a con. Will be just the toxicity. I think that's the word around the club at the moment.
I'm going to switch that to a pro as well. My pro would actually be not the toxicity, obviously, but the pro for me would be the fans finally rising up and sort of saying enough is enough, and hopefully this season we'll see some real change happening at West Ham. That's a pro for me. A con that's not toxicity, struggling against relegation when we're supposed to be challenging for Europe, I suppose. You know, false promises and all that. Yeah.
My con would be, I don't know, I'm sort of plucking our hairs here. Like the 3 away games at the beginning of the season, I do think they've been very detrimental, actually, in hindsight now. I know we've got more home games now, which is nice for us, where we're in trouble. But maybe if a couple of them games were at home at the beginning, Slav might have got a better chance, to get a couple of wins on the board, and we might have been in a different position. I don't know. I'm just plucking at air there. Claret and Blue Extenders said, should we pay Mario's loan deal in the summer? 26 million, 40 million.
Paul?
Yeah, I would pay it. Well, like you say, it depends on the number, doesn't it? Is there a buyout clause? What is it? If it's 26 million, I'd pay that. If it's closer to 40 million, I wouldn't. It depends on the number, doesn't it? It depends on what he's actually available for. Am I right in reading? I'm pretty sure I read the other day that we had actually offered something like 15 million or something to make it permanent, which is typical, absolutely typical Sullivan, isn't it?
It says a lot when Jordan Hugo was 9 million. Do you know what I mean? In terms of where the transfer money is now, it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
But I mean, yeah.
I think I'm worth about 2 million.
But for me, yeah, around 25 million, I'll take him. Absolutely, yeah.
Gonzo, would you have him?
I'd like to see a little bit more of him. I think we're going to see a little bit more of him. I would also, yes, if that was part of the 80 million that I spoke of, what we're going to get is 30 million. Can we spend 26 of it on Mario? Then no. So, the numbers are key in both areas, how much he costs and also how much he's given. As you can see, that's a constant theme with me. I'm really worried how much the manager is going to get to spend, because I've just got this feeling Sullivan's going to go, look, see, I told you the pledge. Here's your new director of football, Steve Bruce, and I told you I'd up the transfer budget. He's now got 42 million. Yeah,
Do you fear for us? If we don't spend big boy money, do you fear for us next year?
Oh yeah.
I don't think. No, if we kept all our players, let's say we kept Lanzini, we kept Arnautovic, Declan Rice continues as he is, and blah blah blah, and then we do spend. Let's say we buy another £25 million player. Which we might do because we did last time, and then we buy let's say we sort out one problem position as well. I do think we are significantly better than all the teams apart from Wolves that come up, unless you've got a big budget. The gap is growing each year. It really is growing. So I think with proper management, then our players are good enough to be mid-table. You've spoken about Arnautovic, he's a bit like Di Canio. Yes, he is. We've got Asuaku. Look at Fernandez. People that we've discussed. Bonner's one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, I think. He's just unlucky to be playing in the team that he's playing in. We've got a lot of good players. We've got a lot of things going for us. And I think if we were to add a couple of players to that, I don't think we're in trouble going down if we're managed properly.
Yeah. Right, let's bang through these questions. Claret and Blue, what is your favourite West Ham fan channel? Mine is Free Amazon. Thanks, mate. I suppose I have to say Amazon Chat now, don't I?
No, not at all, mate.
I've got to say, a bit of mine. To be honest, one of the inspirations for starting the channel, I really do like Jay. He's a top top guy. Jay Hammer and Talk. He's come on the show twice. I really do like him. He's very honest, and he's done a lot of it by himself as well, which I respect. I've got a lot of respect for him for that. Well,
I tell you, it's not easy talking to a camera. It's particularly not easy talking to a camera on your own. So as I know, particularly if you're outside, actually, funny enough, because people do give you weird looks. You've got to sort of march through it. I like Ben Spurs 21. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't actually.
You've not seen Ben Spurs?
No.
Oh, you've got to watch it. He's it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Wonderful. He's not trying to be funny, but it's pure comedy gold.
There you go. We'll have to give that a look.
You, Paul, favourite West Ham fan channel?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really watch other channels, to be honest. That's just the truth.
I'm glad you said that.
It's just the truth, to be honest.
To be honest, I like watching it because I did it sort of around the March, and I do it a lot. I watch a lot of Hammers Chat. I watch West Ham Fan TV because I like all your opinions, and it sort of helps me plan this show as well.
To be fair, that's true. I will say Luke actually does watch everyone, and Luke's well on top of it.
Yeah, but Luke's been looking after a 2-year-old, right, who's potty training. So have you managed to do it this week? Because I've got 4 kids. Here's my problem with it about watching everyone's stuff. I've got 4 kids and a wife, obviously, because they had to come from somewhere, didn't they? But yeah, it's it's hard to watch everyone's stuff. Yeah. But I've got to say, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I mean, I just don't have time to go on everyone's stuff at all. A lot of time I don't have time to do all our own stuff. But I really do like what you guys were doing, and I have done from day one. I'm going to blow a bit of smoke up your arse here because, you know, well, why not? Where else would I do it? Are you going to cut that word I just said out? Are we allowed?
No, you're right. That's allowed,
is it? Okay. Beep. Beep. I'll blow smoke up your beep. Which probably sounds worse. You can probably put a different word there. I really enjoy what you're doing. I like the podcast format. You've got 3 people on. Obviously, sometimes Lee's not there, and it's the 2 of you. It's really hard. When we first started, we tried to do 4, and because it's just really hard not to interrupt each other. And when you're dealing with technology, sometimes there's a slight delay, and you just start talking over each other. And I love your little tune at the start. What's that from? Where is that from?
The name of it's got such a great name as well, and it calls something like Sex Whales or something like that.
What's the name of that tune? Is that why you got a text there? Do you mix it up every time?
No, I don't mix it up every time. That's my career. I'm a DJ. There you go. But no, actually, it's a channel on YouTube called NCS, No Copyright Sounds, and they basically have a load of stuff up that you can use for free. And I just found it. I was like, yeah, I like that. We'll use that. The link is in the description below. There you go.
Of course it is. Of course it is. You've got to say that. It's not a YouTube channel if you don't say the link is in the description below. No, and I just think you do. I think you do a really, really good job. I've meant to come on twice before. Obviously, we didn't happen the first time because Luke got caught in the brothel outside Tottenham with the little leprechaun geezer. But I take it you've not discussed that before on here, no?
It's all coming out now. That's it. Yeah.
It'll be all over the papers tomorrow.
It will. But yeah, I just do think you do a really, really good job. And do you know what the best thing is? And obviously, there's going to be your viewers. You are nice guys, and I've met you both in person, and you're nice guys, and you're the same on camera as you are in real life, so to speak. And that goes a long way because people will tell if you're being false on camera. So listen, I hope you go from strength to strength.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Feeling is obviously mutual.
Of course, naturally. You couldn't say anything else after that.
I've got about 6 more questions because I know you've got to go and do your preview for the Chelsea game, mate. So I'm going to we'll try and do some one-word answers. I'll struggle
with that, but go on.
Is Lanzini going to go Payet Arnas after if he has a brilliant work with Argentina in the summer, and how would you feel about that? There's a risk. I don't think he'd sulk as much as Payet, but there's definitely a risk that he could go if he has a good World Cup, in my opinion.
He's not signed his deal yet. Signed his deal, which is a worry.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, and I absolutely love Lanzini. I think, unfortunately, he's going to go regardless. I think he's destined for bigger things in West Ham, and I think it's going to be very difficult to keep hold of him. I'll be very surprised if he's still a West Ham player next year. I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I do have fears, I have to say.
Yeah, a bit of a worry. He hasn't signed that new deal, and I do think he is a bit better than we've seen so far as well. So I do think he would fit in. Everyone laughed when when Coutinho went and he was sort of linked with Liverpool, but I do think he could play at that level certainly.
Yeah, I think here we go. One more. Who would you? Oh no, we've done that one. Here we go. This is a question from Lee, actually. He dropped us a question in our WhatsApp group. Last question. He says, next season, who would you build your team around? I personally would build my team around Rice, Fernandez, and Lanzini. That is the last question.
Did you say he was in Belarus?
Yes,
indeed. Yeah.
What's he doing in Belarus?
Mate, he works. He's a spy, mate. James Bond. No. No, he works for the Foreign Office, doesn't he? He's a diplomat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is very James Bond, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Right, well. I would have been on my best behaviour if I'd have. Right.
So who'd you build your team around? He says Rice, Lanzini, and Fernandez for him. I don't know why he left that out of a chat, because I think you've got to put his name in there if you're building a team around someone.
I think it's mainstays of the team. I'd also put Ogbonna in there as well.
I like Masuaku as well. Masuaku stays for me.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think it's easier to say maybe who's got to be replaced, and I think you're probably looking to replace Zabaleta and Chiate in particular in that team. So I mean, a young, energetic right back and a proper midfielder, and then if Hernandez is off, that's a lot of wages. Then maybe Anatovic comes in just behind, and we get a striker who's a little bit more what the manager has in mind, basically.
Yeah, I would take Colton Cole out of retirement and build a team around him. That's what I would do.
Get him a coaching team, mate.
I thought he followed me on Twitter.
Oh.
I thought he followed me on Twitter, right? And the other day I was on my Twitter and it said, you know, like it gets the little notifications, and I looked at it, Colton Cole. So I said to Canning Town Len, I said, Colton Cole's just followed me. He went, what, the real one? I said, well, of course the real one. Of course the real one. He's got loads of followers. He said, well, how many? I said, well, hold on. Is there a fake one? He went, yeah, it's a fake one. I said, is there really a fake one? I said, how many followers has he got? He said he's got loads. He went, come and check. So I checked. So the one that followed me, it was very appreciated. Much appreciated. He had 35,000 followers. And I went and clicked on Colton Cole, and he had loads more. And he wasn't following me at all. So he can stay in retirement.
Colton, I know you're out there somewhere. Come on, we all deserve a follow. Come on.
We do deserve a follow.
That is it, guys, for this week. Big thank you, Gonzo, mate, for coming on. Really appreciate it. You know, whenever the bigger channels come on, yourself, Jay, Dan's come on from West Ham Fan TV, it does great stuff for our channel. You know, it's great for us, and we love sharing ideas with all the other channels. That we are a family, you know, and I think you made the point, you know, of coming together. Really, and really appreciate you coming on, mate.
Listen, it's my pleasure. Sorry it took so long. You'll always get people on because you're nice guys, you're nice, genuine, and it's a good show. It's a good format, and I really enjoyed it. Well, you know, it's great. As however long it's been, it's flown by.
Appreciate it, mate.
Appreciate it. Just thing I want to say, anyone out there, guys, that are West Ham fans, my assistant head teacher in school is a big West Ham fan, Danny Mansfield. He's running the London Marathon for a charity called Place to Be. I promised I'd give him a plug. So there's your plug, Danny.
Go on, Danny.
Come on, Danny. Do it for Place to Be. Great charity for children's mental health. Until next week, guys. Might be a little while because I'm actually moving out, so I'm waiting for the internet to come in for episode 75. But we'll try our best to get episode 75 out next week if we can. Until then, guys, it's goodbye from me, Gonzo, and Paul. Come on, you irons. Keep believing. Let's go.
Cheers.